All right. So we're moving you from the bottleneck to the battle leader, right? So you've been in the middle of a session and maybe you got a call and these people say, you're a salesperson. They say, hey, I need you on this project. We need you to come in and do the close, and we need it. It's at 2 o'clock. We need you to help close it. Now, part of you feels great, that your ego is being the closer has always been around, but you'd like to be visionary and you'd like to know that folks that you've got on your team can step in and do these things. Because if you have to be in the room to make the magic happen, you don't have a company. You have an expensive, high stress job. And so the problem is this knack gap. I've been watching my VIP clients, and they're leaders of incredible companies, and they struggle with this. They have a unique solution that shifts the paradigm for the companies that they work with. But in that solution, and the knack is explaining it. It's all trapped in their heads, and the leader has to step in because there's a clarity gap, and they don't have the battle plan that's in your head, and so they don't have the words that resonate, the customer's aspirational desires, and then they default to guessing, and guessing costs millions. And so the solution is what we're going to do today is a notebook framework. It's a three-part. So today I'm going to show you how we stop this and how we're going to build a system that's based on three pillars that um, that transform. I've seen it transform my VIPs. They've got this vault of their genius, and they have this consistency, and they got these custom instructions that gives them the brand voice and the structure, and it's infusing the rules of story so your team can stop needing you to be the hero. And by the end of this, I'm going to show you how to take that gut feeling out of your head and put it into a battle plan that empowers your team to close the deal without you. So let's move you from a closer to a visionary. All right, let's dive in. And so, this is the problem that I see happening. We got three leadership killers. The leader has everything in their head, and it's stressful, and every decision falls onto that leader to make everything bubbles up. The buck stops with the leader. And so they have to approve everything that your team's doing, especially in these high stakes conversations where you have, in the case of my VIPs, they've got a lot of money riding on a yes or a no. And so, they have to be in that room because so much is at stake, but everything's in here. And so you want to get out of spending hours and editing drafts and having the team bring it to you for your approval. You want to get over here. So today I'm going to show you how to get over here, how to put your brand style guide into your custom instructions so that every asset that your team produces is already on brand, on style, has your DNA baked in. And so now you're getting to be more of a visionary instead of you got to come in and be the closer. There's this communication fog, the story gap. I've seen my leaders, they struggle with explaining it, and they this jargon just bubbles in. And you've been there. You're using too much jargon, and the person you're talking to, they don't have your experience. They don't know all of these terms, and so they're confused. They're not sure what that means, and so they won't make a decision, a yes decision, until they're clear on that. And oftentimes they don't ask clarifying questions. And so your content needs to honor the rules of story. And so Notebook LM is just naturally wired to be one of the best storytelling systems I've ever seen. I come from the world of story brand, and there's this hero's journey. And the truth is, most of us put us as the hero in the story of the person that's considering us, but really they're the hero in their story. They just need to see us as a guide that can move you to the success that you're dreaming of, right? Well, Notebook, so unless you become an expert storyteller and go through this, then your content's going to fall short. Your presentation's going to fall short. And Notebook LM is just wired to nail it. And so you don't even have to ask it to use a story brand framework. It already naturally, it's the hero's journey. I have this document that I show all the time, and then this is a hero's journey. This is, the your prospects here. They have a problem. They try to solve that problem, and they don't get that problem solved. And so this is generally they're right here when they meet you and they're considering a solution because they've tried to get it to work and it doesn't work. And so when they meet you, they see the plan, they get determined, and they start to see where they're going to get here with your solution. So this is the hero's journey, and your content needs to honor that, needs to, your brain just needs and appreciates content that's in the form of a story. And Notebook LM just nails it without any coaching whatsoever. And then, you've got to be pulled in, and you're the one that, like I was talking at the beginning, you always get pulled in. We got this problem. We need you to come in and solve it. And that's nice. But you see the handcuffs? You're trapped in just being having a job or having this where you always get called in. And so you're wanting to set up your team, you're wanting to scale. So today I'm going to just show you how Notebook LM is the path for you to get out of here. So this is what we're doing. Notebook LM has the vault. It's the secure vault. Most of my VIPs, they have these unique proprietary, even patented solutions. And so the last thing they want to do is put it out in the AI world, and everything gets stolen, get copied. They've paid, they've invested in this. And so Notebook LM offers you the security to vault your information so that it's not shared with the world and it's not shared to train the models. It offers you the consistency of all the material that's being produced in the presentations and the proposals, in the onboarding, whatever the communication materials that are needed to forward the relationship. Then all of this keeps it consistent, your voice, your tone, your brand, and then honors the rules of story. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So today, I've had to have a plumber come in and do some work. And so I'm going to use them as an example of how you can build this out and what it looks like. So let me introduce you to Route 66 Plumbing. All right. So I needed a plumber, and I happened to know the owner. And so I called them and they came and took care of it. But, they did a great job. But I'm using them as an example, and we're going to go and look at Notebook LM, and we're going to see how we can create a system that vaults your information, makes the voice consistent, and then uses the rules of story to present the information. Okay. All right. So let's go here. So I'm going to move over to here. So first of all, inside of Notebook LM, I have an empty notebook. So we're going to bring the information in. And just like those cooking shows, where they show you how to prep it, then they put something in the oven, then they pull out the end, the results. So this is the results that we're going to pull out of this oven. All right. So we've got these resources. This is your secure area. So when you pull these things in, we're going to pull in the information. All right. We brought in some documents. We brought in some reviews. We brought in some images. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Whoops. So let's go over here. So in here, if you haven't worked with Notebook LM, it's a free tool. Now I encourage you to you know to dig deep and pay the $20 a month for the professional version, but you can sign up for free, and it provides you with most of everything that we're going to do today. Okay. And so you're going to bring in your resources. So this is where you would upload files. So, in the case of, Route 66, so I brought in some information. Before I do it, let me explain this information and how I created it. So first of all, we want the structure, and we want the security, we want the consistency, and we want the structure, right? So Notebook LM has the story making structure all built in already. So we're going to bring in, what do we want? We want to bring in the brand style guide. And so one of the best ways to create a brand style guide is to use Pomeli. It's a free Google Labs tool, and you just pop in and you get started. So in this case, you can come in and create all sorts of material. Let's see if I've got this. So what we're wanting to do, let me just explain Pomeli right quick. You go in and you create the business DNA. And in this case, let's reset this. All right. So now we're going to bring in the website address of Route 66. Now, what this is doing, it's pulling in all of the brand. It's creating what it calls the business DNA. So we're going to be able to see, it's going to take a few minutes, but it's crawling through that website. And so it's getting your wording, your style guide, your colors, your fonts, and it's going to create all of this information just from crawling your website. Now, why is this important? Well, we're going to bring that in, and we're going to put it into, we're going to use, yeah. So in a minute, while it's producing that, I've already done this before. And so here's what we did. I brought in just screenshots from that report and that information that Pomeli is creating, and I put it in here, and I just went to Gemini, all right, and I put it in here, and I've asked for it to give me a brand style guide. And so it's pumped out this information just from looking at those images. And so it's created this beautiful, marketing teams or marketing agencies will take several weeks and charge you a lot of money just to create this piece that we're doing here in just a few minutes. So this is still running. We'll go back here. So in this, so I gave it to Notebook LM. It created these items. We're coming over back to our notebook. Remember, we have a blank notebook. And this is the number one lever. This is like a VIP tip here. That over here, you'll see this is a blank notebook, but we're going to put in here. This is how we configure the output that Notebook LM is going to produce. But there's a custom section here. And when you put in, just paste that information in here from where, let's see if we can make this bigger. Nope. So all I did is paste that information that Gemini produced from looking at the screenshots of the images produced by Palmelli. And I'm going to click save. So let's go back over here. All right, here we have the output. I want you to look at this. It's got their logo, it's got their font style, it's got their colors, it's got their tagline, their brand values, brand aesthetic, brand tone of voice, and the business overview. And then it's got all the images that it could find in the website or that were relevant to the brand style guide. And so what I did is I took the screenshots. Just to make it easy, I went in and just took a screenshot of those, of the aspects of this. So I couldn't screenshot all of it. So what I did is I just did a screenshot like this of those items. Then I scrolled down and then I did another one. Okay. So I just took these screenshots of the information that was necessary to capture all the aspects of the brand style guide. I came over to Gemini, and Gemini is excellent. You can just go and upload those files from those screenshots. So just for a matter of demonstration, I brought those in, and you can see how they brought that information in. And all I did was say, give me, I just said that same prompt, basically. Yeah. So I just gave it that prompt, told it to produce it, and it's just going to produce the same thing. Okay. Then I copied that, I brought it over, and again, I put it in this custom area, and it produced this beautiful, succinct brand style guide. And what does it say? All right. So let's just go read this is easier here. So again, it's produced it right here. The master brand style guide. Produced from what? Just putting in your website address into Google Palmelli. This is free, by the way. Screenshotting these items, giving it to here and asking it to produce a style guide. And so it's telling me that Route 66 is locally owned. It's in the Amarillo, Texas Panhandle. These are details that are very important right now. Modern Retro Americana. Modern Retro Americana visual style guide. Here's their colors, their tone of voice and personality. Core brands, special services. And so all I did was, again, bring it over here, and that's what this says here. So I saved it. So what have we done? We've taken this now, and anything that we produce in the chat or over here in these asset generators will honor the brand style guide. Why is this important? You've got a whole team. You've had marketing. You've tried to do social media campaigns, and you've hired someone and brought them in, but it just doesn't look right. And there's a lot of back and forth. We've just resolved that. Okay. We've just taken a lot of your hard work and investment and quickly put it into a tool that is a master storyteller. And now it knows what the output needs to honor. It's in your brand voice, your style guide, your fonts, your colors. So now we need to bring in these sources over here. And so one of the things that I did is, if you go and Google plumbing in this area. All right, so here's Route 66. This is called a Google Business Profile. This is cool. This is basically an approved website that is a structured way to tell Google all about your business. Well, one of the things that is happening is, and we use that, we look at all the reviews that a business has, okay? And This is a shortcut for your brain to go, all right, 678 people have reviewed Route 66. On average, they have a 4.8 um, rating. So most folks have a good experience, right? Well, this is interesting because if we are expecting the content to speak, and what's one of the things that we, as a leader, we use jargon. We refer to things in our vernacular and not the end user's vernacular. Guess what? You can come over, you can look at all the reviews, and you can see where I've done this, but um, you've got all of these reviews, and what do we have here? Um, we have we have someone that is an end user referring to the services in the end user's words. Well, what more could you ask for is to get content in the end user's words and get it into your system so that this is producing more the story in their words. So I copied a bunch of those. I just came in and I just copied a bunch and I brought it over and I put it into a document. And here we go. So we've got all the reviews in a document. Not only this, this is a tip, by the way. Um, they reply to every review. This is huge. So you're getting to participate in this conversation as the business. But they're talking about Jacob, they're talking about Rylan, um, they're talking about the folks that showed up. Okay, they're giving scenarios. This is this is beautiful content, right? And so when you come in here, that's one of the things that you would want to do. So you want to upload these items. So I'm looking for it. Here we go. So we just brought in that document of all the reviews and brought that in. The next thing you can do, you could bring in the website. So we would just pop in their website address. Let's go get that right quick. This website again is going to bring in all of their brand style guide, all even more information. So you can see it's crawling that and putting that in there. And then the next thing we want to do is let's say, all right, now we need to prepare for a presentation. So if we go over and look into here, I did this. So these are the items that I pre-baked, so to speak, right? So I went and got some images of their trucks. So you can look and see what their trucks look like. So I brought those in and I just wanted to um, bring that in and used Pomeli to clean these up and give me some different versions other than the ones that were on the website. Pomeli can create campaigns. In another episode, I'll go through that. But you see, modern pipes, old school care. And then look at this. Is Wolfland home hiding a legacy of rust? See how we protect Amarillo's history. So this is pretty cool in that you can bring in these branded uh, items that you would have paid an agency a lot of money to brainstorm, and it'd be hit and miss. So we've got the reviews, but then next we have a story. So we need to tell a story. So let's pretend that we need to do a presentation, or we need to do a narrative for a commercial, or maybe a billboard, or whatever it may be. And so we can use Gemini to write a story for us that tells a little bit about a scenario. So again, this is just Gemini. We're using it as a storyteller. What are we doing? We're creating the storyboard, and then we're going to use Notebook LM to create everything on brand, on style for us. And so what I did was I took some of those reviews and I put them in here, and I asked it to just create a story. All right. So basically um, I said, this tool interrogated me a little bit. So I answered, who's the audience? What's the call to action? What's the villain in the story? I brought those in, and it gave me a story. All right. Again, remember, what does your brain crave? Information and the rules of the story. So let's shortcut this. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to show you the presentation before I brought in the master brand guide that I showed you how to create, and the after. Okay, so let's look at this. So basically, just so you know, I asked it to create a story, or I brought in that story, the modern pipes. Actually, this is the one that it created first. Okay, so this is a story that it produced for me. And so when your house has other plans. So I brought this in, and I asked it to create, just retell the story in a graphic novel, basically. And so it took that information, but notice immediately it's good. It's way above average, but we don't have our branding. We don't have our colors, but we got the bones of a great story. All right. So it shows our hero, the homeowner. He's got a plan. He's going to take care of all these things. He's relaxing and enjoying the day. And then, remember, this is where we are. Where all of a sudden now in the story, we've gone from nice status quo to, something's wrong. Okay. Then the typical experience, trying to call. Who do we trust? How do we make a decision? They called Route 66. They're on their way. Here's the plan. Okay. So it did above average. It shows you, this is amazing. You would have paid a lot to get someone to produce something. This did it in just a few minutes. All right. So it's not bad. But let me show you the after. After we brought in the master prompt. All right. Where do we put it? We put it right here, the master prompt. So now it pulled the images from the trucks. It titled it The Panhandle Chronicles. This is the Amarillo, Texas Panhandle, right? But we still have the bones of the story, modern pipes and old school panhandle care, right? And then this is awesome. These are actually older homes in the Amarillo area. It's not an actual home, but it knew to create content that relates to the end user, to the prospect. This is how the look and feel of the homes are in the older areas. But then this is a typical newer home. It's out on the prairie, but it's got the character we love, but then the 60-year-old pipes. And you see that it's weaving in the narrative. So now we've got this going on. We've got the dilemma. The real villain isn't just the leak, it's the silence on the other end of the phone when you wonder if anyone will show up before the garage floods. We're booked. Please leave a message. Or jargon. I thought this was funny. It's likely your polybutylene manifold pressure valve. Enter the mentor, Route 66. Now, some of these things, there's a couple of details in here that I would to take out. But you see the leveling up of the output? Isn't this excellent? In just a matter of moments, anybody on your team giving an assignment to know but your notebook LM, the content is being produced in a where? In a safe, structured area, on brand, on voice, honoring the rules of story. And so in this case, let's say that I saw a piece here that I would want to revise. You see this, the 60-year-old rebellion, we don't, that doesn't make any sense. Well, look, you can click revise and tell it to take the 60-year-old up. Take out the 60-year-old bread box. Okay. Then I would generate a revision there. And so it's doing it. So look, we've gone through, we set up the security, we've got the consistency, and we structured the story by using some free Google tools. And so now we put you in the driver's seat as a leader. You move the vision, all the stuff that's up in your head into a place that your team can be set up as for success. They can create content that makes their client the hero, right? And then you're being relieved, and you can rest assured that you're being a good leader and you're setting your business up to where it can begin to scale. It's amazing what Notebook LM can do. And so today's I'm just solving the problem of the leader of my VIP clients. See them, and they get energy, they get excited, and their team gets together and they brainstorm and they create these assets a day or two before, and they walk into a presentation with confidence on brand and knowing that they're communicating more clearly to their end users, to their prospects, to their potential partners. And so this is just a great way to be a leader, set your team for success. So if you like these, you're getting value, be sure to like and subscribe, okay? And also let me know if there's something you need help with. I got my QR code up here. You can scan it. Maybe you are that VIP. Maybe you're relating that you've been fighting these battles and you want a little help. You can see how you can do it yourself, but obviously we can do it faster. We can add in some things that maybe you would miss. So reply, reach out, use that QR code, connect with me. I'm Steve ROI Brown. You can do this, all right? We'll see you next week on another episode of AI Made Simple. That's a wrap.